nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers, a music podcast where a group of friends gather together to share music with each other, an album at a time. It's like a little book club, but for music. It's fun. It's a fun time had by all. I'm PD Rave, and I'm standing up because I don't know, I can't be satisfied with any streaming or recording setup. I have to change it every few months or every few days. It's my habit. Here with me is my team, my squad, my crew, my quorum. We've got David.
PD changes his setup because he has to. I do as many as 3 podcasts all at once.
We've got Drew.
PD's standing up because he's ready to throw down.
And of course, sitting in the rotating fourth chair, we've got Patrick.
I'm standing up in solidarity with Pete.
Yes. Here we're gonna talk about music. We're talking about an album, and the provider of the album this week is Drew. Drew, what have you got for us this week?
Well, it's an album that as soon as it came out, I listened to probably for 3 days straight. It was something that I was really, really excited for. The hype train was rolling. Came out last November, so pretty recent. Something people may have heard about. We're spending an evening with Anderson Paak, Bruno Mars, otherwise known as Silk Sonic.
Let's talk about expectations. David, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
That I would like it, and that I would love it, and that it would be a slam dunk of an album. Because the smash hit that was Leave the Door Open felt like the signs of something genuinely special.
Yes. Patrick, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
I found out that it was Bruno Mars and Anderson Paak, and I was like, well, those are some people who make music that I hear little bits of and seem to be good, and they both have an incredible reputation, but this is sort of off my beaten path of what I've been listening to lately, so I was excited to listen to something completely different.
Yeah, I had an inkling of what the sound was going to be and what everyone was hyped about. And apparently I've also at least heard parts of at least one of these songs before, but I kind of got an idea of what to expect, but I was excited to kind of dive into a full album experience of it. Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
There are a few albums that I would consider no skips. Ones that you can listen back to front, and they're pretty good. There are a few that I have that are like maybe a skip or two, but pretty much good. There are a few that I think that from beginning to end are perfect. This is one of them. The vibe from the beginning that you get, I think, is absolutely perfect. From the album cover to all of the promotional work before it, to the album itself, to the tonality of how they, like, what comes across. It all creates this milieu that was very obvious what they were going for. Bruno Mars is a name that's obviously very, very well known. He's somebody that is very obvious, very popular, right? He is a pop artist that works in a bunch of different genres, but it's pop music. You can hear Bruno Mars just as quickly coming out of a store, in a wedding, from anybody. He's pretty universally liked, I think. Anderson Paak is a guy that's not as well known. Music nerds talk about Anderson Paak all the time because his songwriting is amazing. He's a good singer. He's a good rapper. He wears a lot of different hats. So it was kind of cool to have them come together. And what I think is special about the record, about the promotional material, about the videos, because it all sort of coalesces into, I think, the point of some of what they did, is these two don't view each other as, oh, well, Bruno Mars is the popular guy, so like give him front billing. Like everything seemed to be very, very equal. The entire album, which I think is really, really smart. The style of the record is immaculate. You have this look back at like late 60s, early 70s soul, R&B, funk through these like rose tinted glasses. It's all of the good parts with none of the filler. Also, as a bass player, having Bootsy Collins and Thundercat on your record automatically makes me happy because it's Bootsy Collins and Thundercat. I don't know if you know this, they're really good at the thumpa-thumpas of the bass guitar. It's what they do. And if you haven't heard Thundercat yet, god damn it.
They
hasn't
slap at
heard
the bass.
Thundercat?
I don't know, but if they haven't, they're wrong.
Presumably white people.
I mean, Mac Miller used
People
a shit ton of Thundercat.
Almost
if we wanna
everyone
go
has
back
heard,
to-
even almost everyone has heard Thundercat. I imagine, even if they haven't heard of.
Yeah, they probably heard Thundercat and don't know what the name Thundercat means. Also, Babyface is on this record at a certain point if you want to get into like that era of fucking R&B. But they don't try to pad stats. It's 30 minutes. There's no wasted space. They went in, they hit, they kept hitting, and then they were like, yo, we're done. We're out. Like, they probably could have done another couple of songs and, like, gotten this to more of, like, the 40-minute mark that you think of a pop record on and getting to that, like, 12, 13 mark. But they didn't have to. They leave you wanting a little bit more, and I think that's really smart.
Yeah. David, how would you describe this album musically?
I would describe this as an album with modern production and modern talents, paying an homage to the likes of Stevie Wonder and Parliament Funkadelic. And they do it really, really well. It sounds retro chic in the same way vaporwave artists invoke a certain nostalgia of a certain time period. This album and Silk Sonic as a whole invoke a nostalgia of a certain time period, while still coming off as very modern and very now. It's a really good balance. As Drew said, the album is incredibly short, which led me to believe that Bruno Mars and Anderson Paak probably did not expect the first single, Leave the Door Open, to blow up like the thermonuclear meltdown it became. And they figured, oh, shit, we got to do an album. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, we didn't think it would be that big. And so they did. They went into the studio. They knocked out 31 minutes of music. And it's a pretty fun album from front to finish. It's got hooks. It's got jams. It's got a little bit of instrumental funk. Bruno Mars really gets to show off his vocal ability. Anderson Paak gets to have a spotlight that is well-deserved. And as an entire piece, it's pretty fun. Yes, it leaves you wanting more, but at the same time, it does not overstay its welcome.
Patrick, how would you describe this album musically?
This is like an epic road trip through the history of R&B and funk. It is a throwback album, but it's not necessarily a throwback to one particular era of that music. There's songs that sound like they're a 60s song. There's a little disco here. There's a little 90s like bump and grind R&B. Like, it is a love letter to the genre while celebrating lots of it, not any one bit. I feel like if you told me that these guys wrote each song as like a sort of homage to some of the, to one of their favorite artists for each and a different one on each track, that would make sense. Like, it is such a sincere, like reimagining of classic R&B and funk while still staying really true to it.
Yeah, I think it is a nice throwback to some like classic styles. It is, but a clean version. It's like getting the clean version, getting the not clean as in no dirty word, but getting the like high res version. It is a throwback in a lot of really fun ways. It is, like David said, doesn't overstay its welcome. It's right there at like, as far as actual like songs outside of the intro, it's about 30 minutes of just funk and soul and R&B, and like there's baby making music, because you have to have the baby.
Everybody drink.
Music. Exactly. You got to get got to get your hump on. But there's great dance tracks, and there's great reason to just play this album front to back at a party. And there's a couple of tracks that you probably heard on TikTok. And you know what? And that's the recipe for success right there. And even with that, there's still quality tracks. There's like the instrumentation is really fun and fantastic, which is what you expect from from Bruno Mars, as he kind of plays a bunch of the instruments on the album, but there's a bunch of great supporting actors in the instrumentation, and both fellows shine in their own way and have like this great attitude that they bring to their performances. This attitude and personality that they bring to the performances, like that just fits right in. And it fits right in because this is kind of just a great continuation of what Bruno Mars has been doing, like musically, but like with what Anderson Paak brings in and kind of like doing this version of it. And that's what, of course it works really well. But yeah, let's talk about key tracks. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks to zero in on?
Well, for me, I could pick everything. I almost did, and then I stopped myself halfway through.
No, the answer is everything. The answer is
everything. But I stopped. Like I said, I stopped myself literally halfway through. So let's do just the songs. The intro's fun, but it's an intro. Leave the Door Open. Like was said, that single hit. And it hit really quick and really hard. And I think both of them had fun in the studio, but didn't realize what they had on their hands until this hit. Fly As Me. That is roller rink, disco ball, girls in booty shorts. Like, this gives me that scene from Austin Powers where Foxy Cleopatra comes out. Vibes.
She's a whole lot of woman.
Real hard. She is a whole lot of woman. If there's not a little bit of drink, some weed, and some booger sugar, let's not be surprised. And then after last night, two great basses that bass great together with Bootsy and Thundercat. But then Smoking Out the Window. Smoking Out the Window, I think, is one of the best singles to come off of any record in the last 5 years, easily. It's a song that is hilarious at times, but also, who hurt those boys? Like,
that bitch.
That bitch did hurt them. God, who hurt them boys? Also, the music video. I was saying this in the Slack earlier today. It's the only music video in the history of music videos that has made me think, man, maybe I should take up smoking, because those motherfuckers look so cool in that music video. Like, dancing around like the fuck, and like, just fucking Anderson Paak coming into the screen with a cigarette. Like, this bitch, like, fucking, like, it's great. It's like that meme where they put, like, the do-rag in the Newport with LeBron and was like, nah, fuck it, we got this in 4, fuck them. Like, it's that feeling of like, nah, fuck this, we got this. Like, God, fucking awesome. Sorry, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yes.
So in summation, all of it, right, Drew?
Yes,
all of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, all of it.
All of
I
it.
mean, we could run this.
Yes, we can run this. David, what would be some of the key tracks to zero in on for you?
All of it. Period.
It's fucking Thriller.
All right, Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I'll say all of it, but I had a couple that after last night is. I'm gonna say this, and I hope everyone understands it. It hits the same way Dick in a Box did, except it's good. But it's like it hit me like 90s bump and grind R&B, but also like wow,
not ironic.
But not ironic, like a sincere love letter to that era. Like, and in the way Dick in a Box, like musically was sincerely loving that, but like it's, a joke. Like, this is just like, no, let's just make a 90s bump and grind R&B song. The harmonies were great. The vocals are so good. I think putting Thundercat and Bootsy Collins on the same album sort of encompasses the theme of, like, taking the entire history of R&B and funk and sort of exploring it. Because you've got, Bootsy, who is the funk god himself, and Thundercat, who is a delightful weirdo and an incredible bass player and someone who is doing weird stuff with that type of music along with other things. Like, that's really good. Smoking Out the Window is just tilde vibes tilde. Like, it is just vibes incarnate. It's a great heartbreak song. Like if you need a breakup track, here you go. 'Cause it just is that good. I'll say Skate, which is almost a disco track, and like disco has a bad name for a lot of reasons, many of them related to racism, and then also how played out it got by the early 80s. But like there was some cool stuff in early disco, and this really like has a little bit of that like late 70s early disco vibe, strings on the backing track. Like it's just nice. And like you could talk about all of them, but like this is just fun. Like it's just a fun album of enjoyable, catchy songs that also aren't all samey. Like I'll put one more in there. 777 is like 70s James Brown. Like that I felt like is what it was aiming. It had a horn vamp. When was the last time you heard a horn vamp in a song? Like when? Because it just doesn't happen anymore. And I really liked how they used basically instrumentation in line with the era. So like the bump and grind track probably had an 808 somewhere snuck in there. But like some of the later stuff is just straight up like bass, drums, keys, much simpler to fit the era. So yeah, all of them.
Yes. I mean, yeah, the answer is all of them because there's it's not over inundated with tracks so that nothing really gets lost in the shuffle. So all of them, I mean, if you want to focus in on what makes particular tracks interesting, we could do that. You guys have done a great job. But yeah, like leave the door open and it's smoking on the window. Those are the songs you probably specifically heard on TikTok in short snippet form. Or on the radio, all over the place if you listen to radio. But yeah, it leaves the door open is just a fun, really well made opening track that really sets the mood, and is followed up by "Fly As Me," which is just a good dancer of a track. Like it is just a good danceable track, and after last night. Is just a fantastic. It is the obligatory baby making banger, but it is a fantastic banger, or should I say smanger?
How about just a slow jam? Can we call it a slow jam?
It has slow jam.
It has slow jam. But, get you in the mood. Get you in a real good mood.
I believe the kids call it vibes these days.
Exactly. But yeah, let's bring it back around.
We're calling it a slow jam. We're in our 30s.
Let's bring it back around the horn, talk about some conclusive thoughts. David, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
Number one, the thing that really stood out to me the most was the fact that Bruno Mars is a fantastic singer. Throughout this entire album, you hear him hitting some notes and maintaining those notes and showing some really strong control. Bruno Mars has really got some pipes. He's a fantastic vocalist. And of course, it's easy to say that when you are an R&B influenced pop artist, but he absolutely stands out. Not just because he wears all of his influences on his sleeve, but he is someone who is really, really creative and really, really talented, and just shows that he is, when he wants to be, just an absolutely fantastic singer. The entire album as a whole is 31 minutes. There's not a single bad track, not one. It might be a little too referential for some of you. It might be a little too on the nose, and it is unapologetically an homage to R&B and soul music throughout the decades, from Sly and the Family Stone to LaFace Records and everything in between. And it's a great 30 minutes. It really is. I would say that you would want to put it on at a party, but it's so short. Like, you might have to put it on repeat because it's so good. Like, put the album on repeat and let it go twice or three times. And yeah, it's just, I hope that Anderson Paak and Bruno Mars took what started as a joke, became way more successful than they probably had planned, and I hope they both come back to it again soon.
Exactly. Patrick, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
This album is so good. I'm gonna go listen to Bruno Mars and Anderson Paak solo stuff. Like, I've heard some Bruno Mars, you can't miss it. I've heard very little of Anderson Paak, and now I'm just curious now. I want to know. It definitely so. I only tangentially know Bruno Mars music because it's so pervasive, but I've never sat down and listened to it. And I think I have a whole new appreciation for just how talented that dude is. Just everything about it. And Anderson Paak, nice voice. Really, the drums on this record, I didn't talk about them much, but he played them on most of the tracks, and they're exactly what they need to be, true to the style of the song they're playing, true to that era, true to the genre. This is one of those ones where it's hard not to say it's 30 minutes of your life, go listen to it. It will not be a waste of time. It's so good. I kind of hate how good it is because I was not this is so far, I might have missed this otherwise. So, I'm glad I got to listen to it, and it'll probably be on regular rotation for a long time.
Yeah, it is kind of what I'd hoped for, and the hype behind it when it was coming up, when people were anticipating an album from Silk Sonic as a project, especially considering Bruno Mars' sound and what he's brought, and what he's crafted. It is fun throwback jams. It is fun throwback vibes. It is R&B, soul, classic sounds, classic, attitude, personality, and does it in the most sincere way. Which I think even the parts that are humorous because of the sincerity, really drives those points home, because that's just how it works. You got to play the joke straight, and that the joke will shine better. But there's no jokes. It's just there's humor, there's personality, and there's approachability. Like there's that, and that kind of gives you those really great moments and really great feel-good moments on top of just the great dance music and great dance moments and the great groove and slow jam moments that just kind of like cuddling close, just sway back and forth with your loved one, with your partner. Just good classic feel good music. Last but not least, Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
Bruno Mars is one of those guys that I think Patrick said it. He's, you know him, but you don't dive in as much because it's Bruno Mars. He's just around. Like, he's that guy. He's on the radio. It's fine. Because I think as a whole, music fans want to find the unknown. Bruno Mars is a known. Sometimes the knowns are known because they're fucking good at it. We still talk about, like, music nerds still talk about, like, people like Elton John, right? And Elton John.
They still talk about Bootsy Collins.
They still talk about Bootsy Collins. Bootsy Collins is a well-known. It's sometimes the well-knowns aren't well-knowns because there's a marketing machine. They're well-known because they're good and they make really well thought out, really catchy songs. If this puts Anderson Paak on more people's maps, I think it's served a great purpose and a great service to music in general. Because again, I think he's one of those ones that does that very well, but didn't get as much recognition for one reason or another. Sometimes dominoes have to fall how they fall. This is something where I would love to get a chance to see this performed live, because that show would be ridiculous and fun. Probably one of the more fun shows since like An Earth, Wind and Fire for me. And it's something that I think
great live, by the way. They are phenomenal
Earth, Wind and Fire?
live. Oh yeah, they're great live.
Yeah, I've seen them 3 times and they were great each. The first time I saw them was like I forget, it was an anniversary tour, so they brought back some of the people that like usually aren't part of the tour, and it was at the Akron Civic Theater, which was great because I was probably the youngest and also one of like a handful of white people. And
I think I remember you talking about that when we were hanging out with
old black dudes just looking at you like, what the fuck? And then see you dancing in the back, and they're like, all right, you're okay. You got to pass on this one. God, I love Earth, Wind. I love seeing Earth, Wind. I wish the world would get back to normal just so I could go to shows again.
We're still doing a podcast, Drew. We're still doing a podcast.
Sorry. Yeah, we're doing a podcast. Now I'm just reminiscing about great concerts. So when it gets back to normal, hopefully they do a tour, because I would like to give them my money to go see it. Because everything about everything they put out with this is just one of those things that they've really thought everything out. Like, it was something where they seem to be having fun with this record, so they're willing to put in the extra work. They're willing to fine-tune the music. They're willing to really think about the compositions. They're willing to, like, just have a laugh during the music videos and stuff like that. Like, you can't tell me, like, Samoa Joe in the back of the Scott Steiner math promo, there's not a dude behind the camera that when Anderson Paak like jumped in like, this bitch wasn't cracking the fuck up. Like, it's hilarious. And like, that type of good time is something that like comes through in the music. When you have good time making music, it usually ends up in a good time listening to it. And that's what this was for me.
Yep. All right. Those are our thoughts on Silk Sonic, An Evening With. Now we get to the main event of the evening, the moment we've all been waiting for. The Haiku Reviews. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. I can gesticulate, do stuff with my hands. Haiku numero uno. David, what is your haiku?
It's an audio podcast, PD.
I know.
The jams are legit. Silky smooth, sonically great. Derivative?
Patrick, what is your haiku?
Some old and some new. A journey through R&B. This album is vibes.
My haiku, throwback funky vibes, designed to make your ass shake, a groovy good time. And last but not least, Drew, what is your haiku?
Amazing artist, getting a lot of praise, and it's deserved.
Yeah, those are our thoughts on Silk Sonic, of an evening with. Go check it out. It's on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers, the home game. Do your due diligence and your due diligence. Follow along at home. Do your homework. Do your due diligence. Also on that Spotify playlist is next week's album. It's going to be provided finally by Patrick. Patrick, now it's finally your turn. What are you bringing us next week?
I'm going to bring relatively new, it's a couple years old now, a band called Covet and their album Technicolor.
So check that out. That'll be next week, and this is this week, and you can, of course, find us all over the internet. David is at Call Me DJM. Drew is at Extrusive Patrick is at The Swagger. I'm at PD Rave. The show's at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com is the email if you want to email us. Rebelli.net for listen to other shows. Rebelli TV on YouTube and on Twitch, where we stream these episodes live, as well as our other streams, including our D&D show, Through the Tomes. We're working on the schedule. Keep with us. It's a D&D game, and we're not getting paid to do it. So, just like every D&D game, it's constantly getting delayed. But we will be back with it once we kind of figure that out. We'll be back playing. It's a fun time. Go check it out. And also things like my Mass Effect playthroughs, which I'm going through right now. Our The Witcher playthrough with me and Daisy coaching me along the ways of The Witcher. All fun times, and we're far in the future, I'll be probably playing some other games, going through the campaign of another game I love, or playing Mass Effect again. I'll probably just maybe cycle back. I don't know, who knows. But yeah, you only know until you check out the channel and share and follow it and check out when I go live. Yeah. That's it. Do all the things, like, share, subscribe, give us reviews, comments, do all the things. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Oodle toot.
Hashtag Luke Vines.
Bye-bye. Annyeong. Fighting.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.